What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Kaulignation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Dingernation, SVGNation, and more. I'm Sean. He's Ryan. And we're back racing. The Clash has come and gone, and as the title says, SVG shines at the Clash. And I don't mind eating some crow on this one, dude, because if you would have asked me how SVG was going to do at a place like that, despite him having a strong Martinsville run last year in Xfinity, did not have top 10 on the card for him. Frankly, didn't have the main show on the card for him. Not only did he make that main show, Ryan, he was fantastic. Welcome back, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good to talk racing again. I know we had our little preseason kumbaya a couple weeks ago, and that was always fun. We like to talk about those sorts of things, but actually having cars on track for the first time this season at Bowman Gray Stadium, which is a track that hasn't been a NASCAR race since like 1964 or something like that. I was really excited for the race and was very happy with the product. I know you had your concerns going into the race that there wasn't going to be any passing, and well, there wasn't much, but it was a show, and I loved the show. And frankly, SVG, as well as his Trackhouse teammate Ross Chastain, put on one hell of a show. SVG was very consistent. Like, I was truly impressed with the speed he unloaded with. He practiced well. He ran very solidly in his heat race, ran top 10 all night long. He wasn't in contention to win, but he showed some real speed and some real grit. Truly. He was not afraid to get, in other people's business, and he held his own. He wasn't pushed around. He wasn't scared of the moment. And I was really impressed. Really, really impressed. Now, this is one thing, and this is not a caveat in any way, shape, or form, but I will say that flat ovals, like you mentioned a second ago with Martinsville and Bowman Gray Stadium, do tend to be the strength to road course racers. We've seen this with AJ as well, one of his better tracks historically. Something about the rhythm and the braking really works well with these guys. So we'll see if he can do this on a more consistent basis. But man, it was a really, really strong showing to start the year, and that should help him build a lot of momentum going into Daytona.
Yeah, I think if you're an SVG fan, you're probably, riding Cloud 9 at the moment. Like, there's no reason to not be impressed with this showing. Apologies for my camera, by the way, guys. I'm doing my best to figure it out. We're using new software, and it'll be better going forward. But he impressed. I was thrilled to see the numbers that he put up on the weekend, the way he raced. He wasn't afraid to mix it up, wasn't afraid to ruffle some feathers. He was very, very good. He was quick, top 10 ride. I think it should give people some hope for places like Martinsville. This isn't necessarily a short trek, but I think he can thrive at a place like Loudon, even New Hampshire. I'm trying to think of some other places. I don't know.
Pocono. He was really good at Pocono. Also flat track.
I don't know if it's going to have too much of an impact at Richmond, maybe a little, but God knows he'll be better off in a Trackhouse car at Richmond than a Kaulig car. But
and Indianapolis too. Truthfully, he did very, very well at the Brickyard. So a lot, I think we definitely found something here with the flat tracks. Really seems to highlight his skill set, or so far anyway.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. Again, if you're an SVG fan, like, maybe you would have wanted him to win, but like 10th at that place, given what was going on, like, just an incredible showing for SVG, and a great way to start the season, to build some confidence and go into the 500, feeling good about himself and good about the team. I love it for him. I love it for the team. And in terms of the racing at Bowman Gray, I like the beating and banging, man, but for me, it's still too short of a track. It's just, it's too short for me, that, and the LA Coliseum. For me, I'd like to see them still do it somewhere else. North Wilkesboro even would be a decent one if they wanted to move the All-Star race elsewhere. But yeah, wasn't a big fan of it, because really you only had one lane. There was nothing else to do. So You had to move them out of the way if you wanted to get around them, and there was plenty of that during that.
Well, remember what made Bristol so popular for so long, right? Was one groove, bumping somebody out of the way, making some enemies, pissing people off. You know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but when you want to put on a good product that the fans really engage with, this is what I think the NASCAR community as a whole really craves. And you're right, it's not something I'd want to do week in and week out, but I think it was, especially the main event. The LCQ was a bit of a show. People were desperate, and it kind of turned into a wreck fest. But I felt like the main event was actually quite good. Yes, there was some spins and some wrecks, but everybody for the most part was pretty respectful of each other. We saw Denny Hamlin make some passes on the outside, so the good cars were able to go to the front. Ryan Blaney went from 23rd to second.
Blaney was on fire.
Not much of a scratch on his car. He did it pretty cleanly. So it's not like passing couldn't happen.
To win that race.
Yeah. So you know what? It was really, I thought, a good show. It could be better. And in general, I think I like the idea of them going to more grassroots tracks. There's some, I think, Irwin Speedway and a couple other of the more, won't say vintage NASCAR tracks, but NASCAR Whelen Series tracks. It's a good thing to me because it allows NASCAR to come into a track that's built a good foundation for week to week, Saturday weekend racing, invest some infrastructure to improve their facilities. I really like that concept. We've seen it now at Bowman Gray. We've seen it at North Wilkesboro. And even Rockingham is coming back this year. So I really like the investment in the original NASCAR tracks.
Rockingham's
I want
another
to see more of that.
Like for the Cup guys, if they didn't want to add it to the main schedule, I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah. And you know what? You're right. It's not on the Cup schedule. It's the trucks and Xfinity. So that could be a great spot to take it. And also, I do want to touch on the Chevys in general in this race. Chase Elliott was in his own world. He was
Elliott that won, not Larson.
It was Elliott. But Elliott and Blaney were kind of in a class of their own. But the rest of the Chevy camp was not that good. The other Hendrick cars were mid-pack or worse. We saw Daniel Suarez run towards the back of the pack. Obviously, the Kaulig and RCR cars didn't make the race and didn't perform well. So I think it was a really good showing for SVG on that front, too, that he, and I don't know if the Chevys were at a disadvantage or not, but he put on a great showing for the Chevy, brand when it was kind of a Ford and Toyota show for most of the race. So, again, just I really emphasize the quality of the run that SVG, Ross Chastain, and that Trackhouse organization had.
I'll say this for the Kaulig guys. Both had speed. Both had potential. AJ was definitely in a spot where he could have raced his way in. And Ty Dillon was fast early. I don't know what happened to Ty. I know he got into a bit of a wreck. But he went from P2, P3 lap times to, I don't know what the hell happened to him in quali. I think I read there was brake lockup or something like that. And so clearly maybe they were over aggressive on the setup, which allowed them to post those times. But I didn't hate what I seen out of the Kaulig cars there. I'll say that. I thought AJ and oh my God, Cole Custer handled their situation appropriately.
Well.
AJ got turned around, but
it wasn't Custer that did it though.
So they were going back and forth for a bit there before that happened, and I was overall, I didn't get to see too much of it, but I liked what I saw, and I liked what I saw from SVG. We're back with regular content now, ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned to that. We have another video coming up in the not too distant future if AJ can turn around the Cup program for Kaulig Racing and company. But what did you think of SVG's performance at Bowman Gray Stadium? Does it give you confidence at short tracks coming up on the season? Great way to start. Love that he has Red Bull on board too. They're going to do 4 or 5 races with him. Plus they're going to be an associate on the rest of the races. They're also doing the kid as well, which is, cool because Celsius is basically doing the same thing for AJ and then with Eckes. So Celsius and Red Bull both stepping up their support of NASCAR teams. That's great to see. Any final thoughts before we go here, man?
Just that I'm really excited about Speed Weeks, man. This was a really good, itch that got scratched to get us going again. But now I'm just jonesing for the 500 in a few weeks. So we're getting close. I feel oddly confident that I think we're going to have a good season. I really do, especially at that cup level for the Kaulig organization, and what we saw from Trackhouse and SVG was certainly encouraging. So let's just hope we can build on it week to week.
Absolutely. That's right. I'm Sean. Check us out on Twitter at Kaulignation. On Facebook, it's SVGNation, Dingernation, Kaulignation. I believe that fellow over there is now in control of the Kaulig Racing Facebook page too. Is that right? The Kaulig Racing one?
Kaulig Racing, yeah.
Kaulig Racing one. So we're here. We support the team. We keep smiling. We keep waiting for that potential announcement on a new AJ sponsor. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Chris Rice seems to be more confident than we are, given that we're in February and it still hasn't happened. But they seem confident in the whole program. SVG again, excellent. We're racing, people. Daytona 500 not far away. We'll see you next time. Keep smiling.